Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the stories, secrets, and surprising values of everyday coins. Rarest coins. Today, we're focusing on one of the most talked about and misunderstood coins in U.S. coin collecting history, the 1965 Washington quarter. You may have seen headlines or videos claiming that one of these coins sold for as much as $1.9 million. That's a bold claim, especially for a coin that most people think is just worth 25 cents. So in this video, we're going to dive deep into the facts. We'll look at the history of the 1965 quarter, what makes it unique, what it's really worth today, and whether there's any truth behind the $1 million myth. Let's begin with the background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The original design, by sculptor John Flanagan, featured a left-facing portrait of Washington on the front and an eagle with outstretched wings on the back. This design would remain mostly unchanged for decades. For collectors, early Washington quarters from 1932 to 1964 are especially important because they were made of 90% silver, and that brings us to the turning point. 1965. Up until 1964, all U.S. quarters were made from 90% silver and 10% copper. But by the mid-1960s, silver prices were rising sharply. There was a coin shortage across the country, and the U.S. Mint made the decision to remove silver from circulating quarters starting in 1965. This marked a major change in U.S. coinage. The 1965 quarter became the first year of the modern copper-nickel clad composition. That means it has a pure copper core sandwiched between two outer layers of nickel. Even though the 1965 quarter looks like a regular silver coin to the untrained eye, it actually contains no silver at all. In fact, more than 1.8 billion of these quarters were struck in 1965, making it one of the highest mintage quarters in U.S. history. Because of that, most 1965 quarters are still extremely common. They're found in change, in coin jars, in vending machines, and they are still accepted as standard currency. In average circulated condition, a 1965 quarter is still only worth face value, 25 cents. Why are people claiming that one of these coins sold for $1.9 million? That's where things get interesting. While the vast majority of 1965 quarters are common and low value, there are a few rare exceptions that have caught the attention of serious collectors. These are the coins that were accidentally struck on a silver planchet. A planchet is the blank metal disc that's stamped into a coin. During the transition from silver to clad in 1965, a few leftover silver planchets from 1964 may have been mistakenly used. That means a very small number of 1,965 quarters were actually struck in 90% silver, even though they weren't supposed to be. These are what collectors call transitional error coins, and they are extremely rare. Only a handful of 1965 silver quarters have ever been authenticated and certified by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC. They weigh slightly more than a clad quarter, about 6.25 grams instead of 5.67 grams. And because silver is a different metal, these coins also sound different when dropped and can sometimes be spotted by their lighter color or lack of the copper-colored edge. If you have a 1965 quarter and think it might be silver, the first thing you should do is weigh it with a precision scale. If it weighs around 6.25 grams, you might have something special. But to confirm its authenticity and value, you'll need to send it to a professional grading service. Now, what about the $1 million claim? As of today, number 1965 quarter has ever sold for $1.9 million. That number has been floating around the internet in articles, TikToks, YouTube shorts, and even eBay listings. But there is no verified auction record to support that price. The highest known sales for a 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchet are in the range of a few $1,000s. For example, one known example sold for just over $7,000 at a major coin auction. That's still a lot of money for a coin that was meant to be worth just 25 cents. But it's a far cry from $1.9 million. The claim that a 1965 quarter sold for nearly $2 million is not supported by any real-world facts. It's likely based on exaggerated or fabricated stories designed to grab attention online. That doesn't mean rare or valuable 1965 quarters don't exist. They do, but they aren't reaching anywhere near that kind of price tag. Let's also talk about condition. Like with any coin, Condition plays a major role in determining value. Coins that are worn, scratched, or discolored are generally worth less. But coins that are uncirculated, with full original luster and sharp details, are worth more, especially if they've been professionally graded. A high-grade 1965 quarter in mint state condition, such as MS 66 or MS 67, can be worth anywhere from $20 to $100 or more. At MS 68, it can be worth several $100s. However, high-grade examples are not common because most of these coins were heavily circulated. Then there are rare error coins. There have been reports of 1965 quarters with double dies, off-center strikes, or other mint errors that can raise the value considerably. A dramatic and well-known mint error from 1965 could fetch hundreds or even thousands depending on its rarity and condition. But again, these are very rare and need to be authenticated by experts. So what should you do if you have a 1965 quarter? First, take a close look. Check the coin's edge. If you see a copper stripe along the rim, it's a clad coin. That's normal. If it's missing the copper stripe and appears to be solid silver colored, it might be worth weighing. If you have a precision scale, weigh the coin carefully. If it weighs close to 6.25 grams, you might be looking at a transitional silver error. Second, check the condition. Is the coin sharp and detailed, or dull and worn? A higher grade coin is always more desirable to collectors. If you believe your coin has a mint error or looks unusual, consider submitting it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Having the coin professionally certified is the best way to determine its true value and get top dollar if you decide to sell it. To sum it up, the 1965 Washington quarter is a fascinating coin with an important place in U.S. coinage history. It marked the end of the silver quarter era and the beginning of the modern clad composition. Most of these coins are common and worth face value, but a small number of them, due to transitional errors or exceptional condition, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But the idea that one of these coins sold for $1.9 million is simply not true. There is no documented sale or auction to back it up. It's a myth, and like many viral coin stories online, it's more fiction than fact. That said, it's always worth checking your coins, because sometimes rare treasures hide in plain sight. Keep your eyes open, know what to look for, and you just might be the next person to discover a coin that nobody saw coming. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, informative, or even a little bit surprising, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into coin collecting secrets. And if you have a 1965 quarter or any other interesting coin, let us know in the comments. You never know, your story might be featured in an upcoming episode. Until next time, keep checking your change, stay curious, and happy collecting. If you'd like, I can help you turn this into a visual storyboard for your YouTube video, add scene cues, or even format it for a teleprompter. Let me know how you'd like to use it. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the truth behind coins that are sitting in your pocket, your change jar, or maybe even buried in your couch cushions. Today we're going to explore a coin that has recently been surrounded by hype, big claims, and even bigger numbers. That coin is the 1981 P. Washington quarter. Some people are saying this ordinary-looking coin could be worth as much as $1.5 million. But is that even possible? Or is it just another coin myth that's exploded online? Stick with me, because we're about to separate the fact from the fiction and take a close look at the history, the value, and the possibilities surrounding the 1981 P. Washington quarter. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been part of American coinage since 1932. It was introduced to celebrate the 200th birthday of the first U.S. president, George Washington. The original design by John Flanagan features a profile of Washington on the front and a bold American eagle on the back. This design became a staple of U.S. coinage for decades, and it remained mostly unchanged until the state quarters program started in 1999. Now the 1981 P quarter was minted in Philadelphia, which is what the letter P stands for. That year, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 601 million of these quarters. That's a huge number, and it means the 1981 P is far from rare in everyday terms. You can still find them in circulation today, and most people wouldn't think twice before spending one. So where did this story come from? The claim that a 1981 P. Washington quarter could be worth $1.5 million. The truth is, there is no documented case of any 1981 P quarter ever selling for that kind of money. Not at auction, not in private sales, not anywhere. The $1 million price tag is part of a wave of viral videos and articles that tend to exaggerate the value of coins for views and clicks. While it's fun to imagine, we have to base our understanding on real auction records, expert grading reports, and facts from trusted numismatic sources. But that doesn't mean the 1981 P quarter is always worth just 25 cents. There are situations where it can be worth significantly more, and in rare cases, even hundreds or possibly thousands of dollars. Let's break it down. The number one factor when determining a coin's value is condition. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin showing no flaws, even under magnification. Most coins you'll find in your pocket are circulated, meaning they've been used in transactions, handled, and worn over time. These coins usually fall somewhere in the lower grades and are worth little more than their face value. But an uncirculated 1981 P quarter, one that was never used, never touched by human hands, and stored properly from the time it was minted, can be far more valuable. In grades like MS 65 and MS 66, these coins can bring in $20 to $50. In MS 67, values can rise to a few $100s. And if a coin were to grade MS 68 or higher, which is extremely rare for a coin from this era and mint, it could potentially sell for over $1,000 at auction. It's important to note that in all the millions of 1981 P quarters produced, only a tiny fraction have survived in these high grades. And even fewer have been submitted to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC and received top scores. So while high value is possible, it's also incredibly rare, and it has nothing to do with wild rumors of a $1 million payout. Now let's talk about another thing that can make a coin valuable: mint errors. Mint errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin production process. Examples include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and die cracks. These errors can add significant value to a coin, especially if the error is dramatic and easy to see with the naked eye. Some 1981 P quarters with verified errors have sold for a few $100s, depending on the severity and rarity of the mistake. However, just because a coin looks a little strange doesn't mean it's a mint error. Many coins get damaged after they leave the mint. For example, if your coin is scratched, bent, or has strange marks, that's probably post-mint damage, and it doesn't add any value. True mint errors are rare and must be authenticated by professionals. There's also another factor that some collectors look for: something called full strike detail. On Washington quarters, this usually refers to how well the coin was struck by the dies. For example, a strong strike that shows crisp details in Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers can sometimes earn a premium, especially if combined with high grade and eye appeal. These coins may not be major errors, but collectors appreciate sharp, well-defined examples. So here's the big question: could you really have a 1981 P Washington quarter worth a fortune? If you have a coin in average condition, scratched, circulated, maybe even a little dirty, then the answer is no. It's likely only worth its face value of 25 cents. If you have a very clean, shiny example that appears uncirculated, it might be worth getting it evaluated. And if your coin has what looks like a mint error or is in absolutely pristine condition, then it's worth taking the next step. That means getting it graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC, which can confirm the coin's condition and give you a much clearer idea of its market value. But to date, no 1981 P Washington quarter has sold for anything close to $1.5 million. The highest auction prices for this coin are in the low thousands, and only for coins in top condition or with certified mint errors. The $1 million claim is more of a myth than a market reality. It's exciting to imagine, but it's just not backed up by evidence. That said, coin collecting is full of surprises. Every year, new discoveries are made. A forgotten hoard turns up in someone's attic. A rare error coin appears in circulation. And yes, once in a great while, a coin previously considered common turns out to have something very special. That's part of the magic of this hobby. But it always pays to do your homework, check real auction records, and get expert opinions before believing anything that sounds too good to be true. Next time you find a 1981 P quarter in your change, take a moment to look at it closely. Check the condition. Look for unusual features. And maybe, just maybe, you'll discover something special. But until there's real proof of a $1,000,000 version of this coin, let's stick with the facts. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Drop a comment below if you've got a 1981 P quarter you want us to check out, or if there's another coin you'd like us to cover in a future video. Until next time, keep checking your change, stay curious, and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like this adapted for a shorter format, converted into a script with scene direction, or turned into a narrated voiceover script with pacing tips. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden secrets, surprising facts, and real-world values behind some of the most common coins in your pocket. Today we're talking about the 1995 P Washington quarter. You've probably seen one. You might even have one in your change jar or tucked away in a drawer. But recently, this particular coin has been making headlines, with bold claims that a 1995 P quarter is worth as much as $1.1 million. Is that true? Could a simple quarter from 1995 really make you a millionaire? Or is this just another viral rumor designed to get attention? Let's get into the history, the facts, and the actual value behind this widely talked about coin. First, let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a cornerstone of U.S. coinage since 1932. It was introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, and the design by John Flanagan remained the standard for many decades. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Washington, and the reverse shows a powerful bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness, with olive branches below to represent peace. Now let's talk about the 1995 P quarter. The letter P in the mint mark stands for the Philadelphia Mint, which is one of the main coin-producing facilities in the United States. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 1 billion Washington quarters. That's right, more than 1.1 billion coins. With such a high mintage, the 1995 P quarter is extremely common in circulation. In most cases, if you find one in your pocket change, it's worth exactly 25 cents to where does the $1.1 million rumor come from? This is where things get interesting. Across social media, websites, and online videos, there have been bold claims that a rare 1995 P quarter sold for $1.1 million. These stories are often accompanied by dramatic thumbnails or vague headlines that don't provide any real evidence. But when we look at verified auction records from trusted platforms like Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, or PCGS, there is absolutely no record of a 1995 P quarter ever selling for anywhere near that amount. In fact, the highest recorded sales for this coin are much lower. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. Like any coin, the value of a 1995 P Washington quarter depends on two main things: condition and rarity. Let's talk about condition first. Coin collectors use a grading scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin with no flaws, not even under magnification. Most 1995 P quarters you find in circulation will be worn, scratched, and show signs of use. These are called circulated coins, and they're usually only worth face value. But uncirculated examples, coins that were never used and still have their original luster, can be worth more. A 1995 P quarter in mint state condition, especially one graded MS 65 or higher, could be worth anywhere from a few dollars to $20 or $30. The higher the grade, the higher the value. Now if a coin is graded MS 67 or MS 68, which is rare for coins from this era, the value can go much higher. Some of the finest known examples of the 1995 P quarter have sold for over $100 at auction. While that's still far from $1 million, it shows that condition does matter, and some collectors are willing to pay a premium for quality. Now let's talk about rarity. And this is where things can get more exciting. In the world of coin collecting, rarity doesn't just mean how many were made. It also includes how many survive in high condition and whether any unusual errors occurred during production. That brings us to mint errors. A mint error happens when something goes wrong during the coin-making process. This could be a double die, an off-center strike, a clipped planchet, or even a coin struck on the wrong metal. Some of these errors are subtle, but others are dramatic and can fetch big money. There are a few known error varieties associated with the 1995 P quarter. One of the more famous errors includes off-center strikes, where the design is not aligned properly with the coin's center. These can sell for anywhere from $50 to several $100s, depending on how extreme the error is. There are also some broad strike errors, where the coin was struck without a proper retaining collar, causing it to spread out and appear unusually large. These can also command higher prices. However, as of now, no known 1995 P Washington quarter with an error or in perfect condition has ever sold for over $1 million. That's simply a myth, a rumor that has taken off online without any real basis in fact. It's important to separate reality from hype, especially in the coin collecting world, where exaggerated claims can spread quickly. So what should you look for if you want to find a valuable 1995 P quarter? First, check the condition. If it looks new and uncirculated, that's a good start. If you think it might be in mint state condition, consider having it graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A coin with a grade of MS 67 or higher could be worth real money to collectors. Second, look for any unusual features. Is the design off-center? Does the coin appear to be missing part of the rim? Is the image on one side duplicated or distorted? These could be signs of a mint error, and some of them are very collectible. Lastly, pay attention to the edge of the coin. While most 1995 P quarters have a copper core visible along the edge, an error coin struck on a different metal might appear solid silver in color. If you suspect you have something rare, weigh the coin and compare it to the standard weight of a quarter, which is 5.67 grams. Anything significantly heavier or lighter might indicate an unusual planchet. So what's the final verdict? The 1995 P Washington quarter is a modern coin with a very high mintage, and most of them are only worth their face value. But in rare cases, coins with exceptional condition or certified mint errors can be worth significantly more, sometimes hundreds of dollars. However, the idea that this coin has ever sold for $1.1 million is not true. There is no verified auction or collector's record supporting that claim. Still, it's always worth checking your change. You never know what you might find. Rare coins do exist, and some of the most valuable finds have come from everyday people who simply paid attention to the coins in their hands. So whether you're a beginner or a long-time collector, keep looking, keep learning, and never assume a coin is worthless just because it looks ordinary. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. And if you have a 1995 P quarter or another coin you're curious about, drop a comment below. We love hearing your stories and helping you uncover the hidden value in your collection. Until next time, keep your eyes open, keep collecting, and always check your change. Let me know if you want this script adapted for visuals, broken into segments for video scenes, or formatted for teleprompter use. Welcome back to the channel, where we explore the fascinating world of rare coins, valuable finds, and the hidden treasures you might just have sitting in your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about coins in recent months, the 1986 D Washington quarter. Some collectors claim this coin could be worth as much as $1.3 million. But is that true, or is it just another internet myth? Let's uncover the facts, explore the coin's history, look at its real market value, and find out whether this seemingly ordinary coin could actually make you rich. Let's start with the history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and features a profile of Washington on the obverse side, while the reverse shows a bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches underneath, a symbol of strength and peace. From 1932 to 1964, these coins were made of 90% silver. But starting in 1965, due to rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint changed the composition to a copper-nickel clad. That means the coins made after 1965, including the 1986 D quarter, have no silver content and are mostly made of copper and nickel. Now, let's talk about the mint mark. The D on a 1986 D quarter stands for the Denver Mint, one of the primary locations for coin production in the United States. In 1986, the Denver Mint produced more than 504 million of these quarters. That's a massive number, and it means the vast majority of these coins are not rare. Most of them entered circulation, were used in daily transactions, and eventually became worn down from regular US E.SO. If the 1986 D quarter is so common, why are some people saying it's worth over $1 million? Here's the truth. Most 1986 D quarters you find in your pocket change are worth only 25 cents. Maybe a bit more if they're in very nice condition. A circulated 1986 D quarter, one that's been used for years, typically has no premium value. However, things start to change when we talk about coins in uncirculated or mint state condition. These are coins that were never used in circulation and still have their original shine, luster, and detail. Coin grading companies like PCGS and NGC assign grades to these coins using a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. An MS 60 is the starting point for uncirculated coins, while MS 70 represents a perfect coin with no flaws visible even under magnification. For the 1986 D Washington quarter, coins that grade MS 65 or higher are much more valuable than the average circulated example. In fact, a 1986 D quarter graded MS 67 has sold at auction for over $900. And a particularly attractive and rare specimen once sold for over $1,400. But those are the exceptions, not the rule. Out of the 500 million coins minted, only a tiny fraction have survived in such pristine condition. Finding one of these high-grade coins in pocket change is incredibly rare, but not impossible. Now let's address the million-dollar question, literally. Where did the claim that a 1986 D quarter is worth $1.3 million come from? Some videos and articles floating around the internet suggest that there are rare error coins or high-grade examples that have sold for over $1 million. But the truth is, there is no verified record of any 1986 D quarter selling for that amount. There are no auction listings, no certified sales, and no trusted collectors or dealers who can confirm that such a coin exists at that price. It's likely that the claim comes from confusion or exaggeration. Sometimes, people see headlines or watch sensational videos and assume they're true. Other times, they may be referring to a completely different coin. For example, a rare silver quarter from the 1930s or a major mint error that's entirely unrelated to the 1986 D issue. That said, there are a few things that could make a 1986 D quarter worth significantly more than face value. One possibility is a rare mint error. These include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and other mistakes made during the minting process. Error coins can be valuable, especially if the error is dramatic and easy to see. Some error quarters have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But again, these are rare, and not every coin with a scratch or odd mark is a true mint error. Another possibility is an extremely high-grade coin. As mentioned earlier, coins graded MS 67 or higher are quite scarce and can bring in hundreds of dollars at auction. If a 1986 D quarter were to be discovered in MS 70 condition, a perfect coin with flawless surfaces, it could indeed be worth thousands. But no MS 70 examples have been confirmed for this date and mint mark, at least not as of this recording. So what should you do if you have a 1986 D quarter and you think it might be valuable? First, check the condition. Is it worn and scratched, or does it look brand new? Hold it under a good light and examine the details. Look at Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers, the rims of the coin. Are they sharp and clear, or are they smooth and faded? If your coin looks uncirculated, it might be worth sending to a professional grading company for evaluation. PCGS and NGC are the most trusted names in coin grading, and they can give your coin an official grade, which helps determine its market value. You can also compare your coin to photos of high-grade examples online. Look at auction listings on websites like Heritage Auctions or Great Collections. If you suspect your coin has an error, take high-quality photos and show them to a professional coin dealer or numismatist. There are also coin forums where you can post pictures and get feedback from experienced collectors. In conclusion, while the 1986 D Washington quarter is an interesting and collectible coin, it is not worth $1.3 million, at least not under any verified circumstances. Most of these coins are common, and unless yours is in exceptional condition or has a rare mint error, it's likely worth between 25 cents and a few dollars. That being said, coin collecting is full of surprises and amazing finds do happen. So always check your change, keep your eyes open for unusual details, and most importantly, enjoy the hobby. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new today, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below if you have any rare or interesting coins you'd like us to cover in a future video. Until next time, happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like this script formatted for teleprompter use, broken down by scenes, or with on-screen text suggestions. Welcome to the channel where we explore rare coins, hidden treasures, and the real stories behind the money in your pocket. Today, we're diving into the mystery and value behind a coin many of us have likely handled without thinking twice: the 1987 P. Washington quarter. Some headlines and videos out there are claiming that this simple coin is worth over $1.4 million. But is there any truth to that? Let's go deep into the facts, the history, and the real-world value of this coin, and figure out whether your 1987 P quarter is ordinary pocket change or something much more valuable. Let's start at the beginning. The Washington quarter has been a part of American coinage since 1932. It was originally created to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, has remained largely the same over the years, with Washington's profile on the front, or obverse, and a majestic eagle on the back, or reverse. Now, when we talk about the 1987 P quarter, we're referring to a coin minted in Philadelphia. That's what the P mint mark stands for. In 1987, the U.S. Mint produced a massive number of these quarters. Specifically, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 582 million of them. That's right, over $500 million. With that many coins minted, it's safe to say the 1987 P quarter is far from rare in general. Now, here's where things get interesting. Despite being common, rumors have been circulating that a 1987 P. Washington quarter sold for over $1.4 million. It's a claim that sounds too good to be true, and unfortunately, it is. At the time of recording this video, there are no verified auction records or documented sales that show a 1987 P quarter reaching anything even remotely close to that kind of price. Not from heritage auctions, not from great collections, and not from any other reputable auction house. So why do these rumors exist? A lot of it comes from misinformation, clickbait headlines, and social media hype. There are videos and articles online claiming coins are worth huge amounts without backing it up with evidence. Sometimes they use images of coins that aren't even the same year or mint. Other times, they confuse ultra-rare errors with regular coins. It's easy to fall for, especially if you find a coin that looks unusual or you simply hope you found something incredibly rare. That said, there are situations where a 1987 P. Washington quarter can be worth more than face value. Here's what to look for. First, and most importantly, condition. Coin collectors grade coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin with no visible imperfections under magnification. Most coins you find in circulation are heavily worn. They're scratched, discolored, or have lost their luster. These are usually worth no more than their face value, which is 25 cents. But coins that were never circulated, known as mint state coins, can be worth significantly more. These are coins that somehow avoided being handled, stored properly since the day they were minted, and still have their full original luster and detail. A 1987 P quarter in mint state condition, especially one graded MS 65 or higher, can sell for a premium. At MS 66, values can range from $20 to $50. At MS 67, it might go for over $100. And at MS 68, which is an extremely high grade with nearly perfect detail, values can go into the hundreds. But remember, coins at those grades are rare. Out of the over 582 million coins struck, only a tiny number have survived in pristine condition. And they must be professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC to have that kind of market value. Now what about errors? This is where things can get a little more exciting. Error coins happen when something goes wrong during the minting process. This could be a double strike, an off-center strike, a clipped planchet, or a die crack. These kinds of mint errors can make a coin rare and valuable, depending on how dramatic and visible the error is. For example, a 1987 P quarter with a strong off-center strike could sell for between $50 and $200 depending on condition and eye appeal. A double die error, if one were to be discovered and authenticated, could fetch even more. But here's the key. Error coins must be confirmed as legitimate mint errors, not just damage that happened after the coin left the mint. A bent coin, a scratched surface, or a weird color does not automatically mean it's an error. You need to know the difference, and often that means getting an expert opinion or submitting the coin to a grading service for verification. So let's bring it all together. The 1987 P. Washington quarter is a coin that millions of Americans have spent, lost, collected, or ignored over the years. It's part of our everyday currency and is still circulating today. Most of them are worth just a quarter. However, in excellent condition or with a dramatic mint error, they can be worth more, sometimes significantly more. But no 1987 P quarter has ever sold for $1.4 million, and there's no credible evidence that one ever will. The hype is fun, and the stories can be exciting, but serious collectors and experts always go back to the facts. If you're hoping to find a valuable coin, your best chances lie in understanding what makes a coin rare. Things like condition, mintage, errors, and historical demand. And if you really think you've found something special, take the time to do the research, get it graded, and compare it to real auction results. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video helped you understand the truth behind the 1987 P. Washington quarter and the $1 million myth. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future deep dives into coin values and collecting secrets. And if you've got a coin you want us to cover next, drop it in the comments below. Who knows? You might just be sitting on a hidden treasure. Until next time, keep collecting, stay curious, and always check your change. Let me know if you want this turned into a teleprompter script, broken into visual scenes, or adapted for a shorter format like YouTube Shorts or TikTok. Welcome back to the channel where we dig into the truth about coins, collectibles, and the stories behind everyday money. Today we're exploring the 1995 D. Washington quarter. You've probably heard the buzz. Some people are claiming that this ordinary-looking coin could be worth as much as $1.2 million. Yes, a single quarter worth millions. Sounds unbelievable, right? But is there any truth behind this claim? Could you actually have one of these quarters in your change right now without even realizing it? Stick around, because we're going to break down the history of the 1995 D quarter, what makes certain versions of it valuable, and whether this $1.2 million figure is fact or just another viral coin myth. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design by John Flanagan became one of the most iconic images in American coinage. The front, or obverse, features a profile of Washington, and the back, or reverse, shows a proud eagle with wings spread, clutching arrows and olive branches. The 1995 D. Washington quarter was minted in Denver, which is what the D mint mark stands for. That year, the Denver Mint produced over 1.1 billion Washington quarters. That's billion with a B. So on the surface, this coin is anything but rare. In fact, chances are you've seen one or spent one at some point without even thinking about it. Most of these quarters are still out there in circulation, being used daily. So if they're so common, where did this $1 million rumor come from? Across the internet, there's been a wave of viral videos and posts claiming that a 1995 D. Washington quarter sold for $1.2 million. These claims usually come with little to no proof, just dramatic headlines, flashy images, and promises that your pocket change could make you rich. But when we look at actual records from real auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, or certified grading services like PCGS, there is no verified sale of a 1995 D quarter for anything close to $1.2 million. So the $1 million story. It's a myth, but that doesn't mean the 1995 D quarter has no value at all. In fact, some versions of it can be worth more than face value, especially in exceptional condition or if they feature rare mint errors. Let's talk about condition first. The condition or grade of a coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with 70 representing a perfect coin with no flaws. Most coins that have been in circulation are considered circulated, meaning they have scratches, wear, or discoloration. These are typically worth just 25 cents. But a 1995 D quarter that was never circulated and remains in near-perfect condition can be worth a lot more. Coins graded MS 65 and above are considered mint state and desirable to collectors. A 1995 D Washington quarter in MS 66 or MS 67 condition could sell for between $20 and $100. At MS 68, which is extremely rare, prices can jump to several $100s. There are only a handful of these top-grade coins certified by services like PCGS or NGC, and they command strong premiums at auction. What about rare varieties or errors? This is where things get interesting. Every once in a while, mistakes happen during the minting process. These are known as mint errors, and some can add serious value to a coin. For example, off-center strikes, double die obverse, broad strikes, and clipped planchets are all types of mint errors. In rare cases, coins are struck on the wrong metal planchet, which can make them incredibly valuable. As of now, there are no widely known major error varieties for the 1995 D Washington quarter that have sold for six figures, let alone over $1 million. However, some off-center strikes and other minor errors from that year have sold for anywhere between $50 and several $100s, depending on how dramatic and unusual the error is. If you happen to find a 1995 D quarter with what looks like a mint error, don't assume it's worth thousands just yet. First, make sure it's a genuine error and not post-mint damage. Coins can be damaged after they leave the mint, through heat, chemicals, scratches, or even accidents. These types of damage do not increase the value. But a real mint error, verified by a grading service, can definitely bring in collectors. How do you tell if your coin is valuable? Start by checking the coin's condition. Is it clean, shiny, and free from obvious wear? That's a good sign. Then, check for unusual features. Is the design off-center? Are any letters or numbers doubled? Does the edge look strange or incomplete? If anything stands out, it might be worth getting the coin looked at by a professional. Another step is to weigh the coin. A normal 1995 D Washington quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly heavier or lighter, it might have been struck on a different planchet, which could indicate a rare error. If you think you have something special, consider sending the coin to a reputable grading company like PCGS or NGC. They will authenticate the coin, grade its condition, and verify any mint errors. A coin that's been certified by one of these companies will have a much better chance of selling for top dollar if it turns out to be rare. Now let's circle back to that big number, the $1.2 million claim. As of now, there is no known 1995 D Washington quarter that has sold for anywhere near that amount. The most valuable examples of this coin have sold for a few $100s, and only in the rarest grades or with confirmed errors. So while it's exciting to think your change could make you a millionaire, it's much more realistic to say that some of these coins can be worth between $50 and a few $100s, and only under very specific conditions. Still, that's not bad for a coin most people ignore. And who knows, new discoveries are made all the time in the world of coin collecting. It's entirely possible that an ultra-rare error variety could surface in the future and rewrite everything we currently know about this coin. That's what makes this hobby so exciting. If you have a 1995 D quarter, take a closer look. Pay attention to the condition. Look for anything unusual. You may not have $1 million coin in your hand, but you might have something a lot more valuable than you think. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, give it a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into coin collecting. And if you've got a 1995 D quarter or another coin you're curious about, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your story and maybe feature your coin in an upcoming episode. Until next time, keep collecting, keep learning, and always check your change. Let me know if you'd like a shortened version for YouTube Shorts, a version with scene direction, or something formatted for a teleprompter.